purpose of why we've put this together was to demonstrate the synergies between top achievers. And I truly believe that you are one of the exceptional top achievers, not only because you are one of my clients.
But it was when I moved to Canberra that I started thinking about, like what would my career look like long term, and the longevity of being a physiotherapist. And while it was something I really enjoyed, particularly going into the private practice area, where you're seeing 30 patients a day, it's physically exhausting. I always had this dream of owning a business that sold shoes for ladies with really big feet, because I've got size 13 feet, and as a 12-year-old with size 13 feet could never get shoes, so I had to go to the men's department. I had to go and get shoes, custom made and all this sort of stuff. So there was a big gap in the market that I'd identified from as a young girl, and this idea sort of came back to me when I was in Canberra. Anyway, so I started looking at this idea of setting up a shoe business. And so I spent all my spare time in Canberra because, I just moved there, didn't have a lot of, friends or networks. And Jules actually, even though he was working, was finishing off his PhD. So every spare second he had, he was studying. And so I used that time to start doing some research and having a look at this idea of having a business that, sold these shoes.
But you know what? I think that the beauty about it is, and we've talked about this a lot, you learn some really valuable lessons through that time, and you also manufactured some really clever pivots that, based on timing, could have played out very differently today. I mean, today you wouldn't need to spend $30,000 on a basic e-commerce. You could pop it up on Shopify.
Absolutely.
Spend $2 to $3 grand.
I started looking at some study options. When I had the shoe business, I was in a through Business SA, had a mentoring program that I was involved in. So I contacted my mentor and caught up with him and had a chat about, MBA seemed like the obvious thing to do. And I don't think I really understood the nuances of, an MBA versus something like what I ended up doing, which was a Masters of Innovation and Entrepreneurship. And it was him that sort of pointed me in that direction. He said, Lauren, I know you very well. You'd do an MBA and that'd be great, but it's not going to serve you in the way that you probably think it would. You'd have to end up going working for someone else.
One of the biggest things that you've experienced is because the LIFT method, the model of care, is so unique. You've encountered some significant challenges on the journey, which for most people would have been failure experiences and they would have given up. Unlike most businesses who have one challenge, you've had many at LIFT, from even getting an oncologist at the beginning to look at the model of care. And that is true entrepreneurship at its core, because you've had to, not only in the medical profession, it's not about persuasion, because there are a whole bunch of rules. You can't just go and make shit up and then go, hey, follow me. That's what I want. And what did you do when you got hit by some really early challenges that should have shut you down? Each person that's sat in the hot seat has this incredible belief that they can make it happen. And in your case, it wasn't just a blind belief. You knew that if you put in all the action steps, you could overcome them. And a lot of people didn't think you could do it, right? And you did it. And now the world is benefiting, right, from this unique model of care that is improving lives. What are your top 3 lessons that you would impart about life or business to another driven and smart business person?
I would tell them to keep investing in themselves, probably number one. And that could be formal education or, having a mentor or whatever, but never stop learning. Get the right team around you. And I mean, for me, that works in 2 ways. There's obviously the team on the ground, who, like you said, reception team and all of our clinicians, but then also the team that people don't see, getting the right accountant, getting the right advisor, getting the right lawyer, getting all of those other support people who are aligned and who understand your business.
And who believe in you.
And who believe in you and who know you. I mean, the whole thing of, and I suppose that kind of, this whole work-life balance thing I don't necessarily believe in. I think it's more around just finding for you what the right harmony is, because for me there is no such thing as balance between work and life. I'm always at work. Doesn't matter where I am, doesn't matter if I'm with my kids down the park, I'm always just, the little part of my brain is always thinking about something. And so it's not this lane or this lane. And I think particularly as women, we get told, there's a lot of narrative around work-life balance and, can you have it all, or, yes, but not at the same time, and all this sort of rubbish. Well, I don't subscribe to that. And I think that if I was talking to a female who, wanted to be, getting married and having children and doing the, that sort of traditional thing, I'd say absolutely you can do that. Okay.
What do you do to realign?
I've found is a really, really great strategy is getting it out, it's writing it down. There's the emotional side of my mind, there's the rational side of my mind. And that feeling of being overwhelmed is when those two things are all just, playing with each other. And I think, having to actually articulate what I'm feeling overwhelmed about, or what, like a to-do list or frustrations, whatever it is, actually just having to articulate that takes that emotional, feeling away from whatever it is that's going on, and allows me to, to sort of see in black and white on a piece of paper.
One of the biggest reasons, and I think it's a really good lesson here to be learned, you are an outstanding physiotherapist in oncology, right? You're one of the only people in Australia that's actually certified and registered in that space. So it's very easy for your team to draw you back into that clinical role as the CEO. And because you are very demanding on the output of the team in terms of the standards, because obviously we've got to make sure we deliver the correct dosage of exercise as a medicine, you can be drawn really easily back into the EMC. So that's the exercise medicine clinic. I gotta stop using acronyms. And so that's a really big challenge for you. And I know that this is a challenge that other business owners face all the time. I have other clients, and constantly we have to draw them back. Do you think having the support team to help you understand that is a benefit for you?
Yeah, I think it is. The problem as well is that I really love doing that. I love getting my hands dirty, and I think that as the CEO and one of the business owners, I think it's really valuable to see what's going on at the grassroots level by doing some work. So I'm a little bit mixed about it, but absolutely I need. It's about boundaries, and it's about just having those boundaries in place so that. If I am wearing that clinician hat, then I'm wearing that clinician hat, and that's okay. But the rest of the time, which is the majority of the time, I'm not. And there is, we have built a team and team leaders and so forth who who perform that role. Yes, I could do it, but that's not what I spend my time doing. And I have touch points still with all of those key people. But it's tricky, but it's just about discipline again and boundaries and structure.
Great. And I think the key message there is